buddy.
Hey, David, how's it going, man?
Good. Nice to see you. Chris is sitting in I was going to say Canggu, but you're not. You're in Phuket and
The
in
Phuket, on the
the Phuket
Phuket, yeah,
in
yeah,
Bali, and
yeah.
we're just talking for a couple of minutes. Um, I've spent a lot of time in Bali, and so I know a lot of the area where Chris is, and where you surf and where your boat's parked, and you know, Canggu and Ubud and all the turf. So how are things in Bali? Are all the restaurants open?
No, not all of them. Things are quiet. Like it's a bit sad in some respects actually, because a lot of the locals are out of jobs because there's just not very many tourists. But as far as as far as restrictions are concerned, you can do pretty much whatever you want. The last 2 months they had a curfew. They shut all the businesses down at 8 p.m. But that was just primarily because of the clubbers in Canggu. When they didn't have that, the clubs were full of people, so they needed to do something to stop that from happening.
Yes.
But
Is there
yeah, no, it's quiet. It's
is there much
quiet.
COVID? Are people sick with the virus?
It's personally, I don't know anybody who's had it. I have some friends that know some people that have had it. But I don't know. It's one of these things that it's like, how do you know, like, I personally don't know anybody. I know people that have had it.
Yeah. Well, it's the same
Yeah.
here. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't really know anybody. I know people who know people, but it's like uh, I'm I pay attention, but I'm certainly not like I'm not an anti-masker, but I'm not I'm not locked in my house either.
Yeah.
I actually on the West Coast right now, and in beautiful Vancouver. I woke up this morning in Campbell River, and
Amazing.
yes, Campbell River on the island. Have you ever been up there?
Yep.
It's
Yep.
stunning,
Used to
stunning.
go camping there.
Did you? Yeah.
Yeah. When I was a kid. Yeah.
So
Amazing spot.
you bought a boat. Were
Yeah.
you were married then?
With a partner. Wasn't married. We're still not married, but
Okay.
we've got kids. But
Oh, don't tell her you're not
yeah.
married. You're married.
Yeah.
And you guys bought this boat together.
That's right. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
how many years ago?
Almost 5 years ago now.
And where did you buy it?
We bought it on an island called New Caledonia, which before I bought the boat, we didn't even know where it was. I didn't know where it was. I had no idea where it was. I had to figure out where it was on a map to fly there to actually look at the boat.
So did you buy it
Yeah.
online?
Well, no, we flew there. It's New Caledonia is in the middle of the South Pacific, basically between Fiji and Australia. And yeah, no, we found it online and then talked to the owners, talked to the broker, and then flew there and basically looked at the boat and spent 10 days with the family. We bought it from a family that had sailed it themselves across the Pacific. And so it was a good kind of handoff, because that's what we wanted to do was,
So you're of course a lifetime
sailing.
sailor and you knew everything about sailing.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I didn't.
Just
No,
kidding.
no. I shared this story the other day. Actually,
You're going to tell us a million times anyway.
yeah. The first trip that I did on that boat. So the boat was in New Caledonia, which is in the middle of the South Pacific. So to get it. So when you have a boat in the South Pacific, generally you want to leave the South Pacific in the cyclone season. The cyclone season is from December until April, because it's not super safe, and most of the time your insurer won't insure the boat. It needs to leave. So we bought this boat and it was there. We bought it in September and we needed to get it out before December. I had no offshore sailing experience, and to get to somewhere safe, like a cyclone-free zone, was a minimum 5 to 6 day sail, open ocean sail. And, I'd never done that before. And so in my infinite wisdom, I found 3 friends that had no boating experience, and we sailed to New Caledonia, or we flew to New Caledonia, got on the boat, and sailed it to New Zealand.
Wow.
Yeah.
So four of you,
Yeah.
crazies.
So there was supposed to be five. There was supposed to be me and four friends. Yeah, it was supposed to be me and four friends. 2 weeks before the trip, one of my friends bailed. He decided he got scared and he didn't want to do it.
All Vancouver guys?
I no, three. One guy from it was one guy from Vancouver, two guys from the Sunshine Coast, so in around Vancouver, and then one guy from the U.S. from North Carolina. And the North Carolina guy, who is from, like, kind of, I think North Carolina's landlocked. Maybe there's some lakes. He turned out to probably be the best sailor of the bunch of us. So, and he, no sailing experience, nothing. But yeah, so anyway, we had four people. I had four people lined up. 2 weeks before the trip, one guy bailed. And then the day we were supposed to leave, one of the guys suddenly had a massive stomach bug and had to go to the hospital. And so he didn't go either because we were leaving. So we went from four people who were supposed to help me down to two, and still did the crossing. And yeah.
Wow. And to New Zealand. And how long did you were in harbor there for the winter? Or?
Yeah, we stayed in New Zealand. So I did that trip. So to give you a little bit of background on it. So we bought the boat in September. My daughter, Mia, was born at the end of September. And then I sailed the boat on my own from New Caledonia, New Zealand in November. And then I flew back to Canada and met up with my partner, Sayo, and Mia. And then we all flew to New Zealand in February and moved onto the boat. So Mia would have been 4 months old when she moved onto the boat.
And how old is she now? 5?
Yeah, she's 4 and 4.5. She turns 5 in September.
Wow. Yeah. Is there a lot of kids in Bali?
Yeah, there is. Yeah, there's a lot of kids here, a lot of families here. There's she goes to kind of like a little play group sort of thing now in Bali. There's also, just as an aside to that, there's one of the biggest surprises that came up for me when we did this sailing adventure was the amount of families that are doing this. I didn't realize that there was going to be so many families.
I'm following a family that I think they're quite famous for having Greta on the boat. They took Greta from North America to Europe, and they're now sailing in the Canary Island area, doing some fundraising actually for refugees, and they have a big following on YouTube, like 1.5 million subscribers.
La Vagabond.
Yes. And he's Aussie, and I'm not
it's a cool
sure.
Story.
Yes, isn't it? They've documented well. You've done a lot of video.
Yeah, I did. I have a tremendous amount of respect for those guys, because having done it, having sailed and having filmed while sailing myself, just sailing the boat and keeping, the adventure going and planning new destinations and keeping the boat going and all that stuff is a full-time job. Like, it's a 40-hour-a-week job just doing that. Then if you start to document that stuff, that's another more than a full-time job. So
they put out a video once a week, I think, on Mondays, and I didn't know them. My brother Bob, who's up in Campbell River, who I went to visit, and is a big fan. And and he it's like they're his family. He's really in, and he was showing me their videos, so I subscribed just this week. So
Cool.
But he's like a big fan. I can see that, like, they post a video and they have in 3 hours, they've got 20,000 views, and people are watching the whole thing. So YouTube is helping to pay their bills.
Yeah, Patreon more than YouTube.
Yeah, probably, eh? They've got a new, they're buying a new boat. They're going to step up, I guess. Bob said they're going to move they got a 40-footer or around a 40-footer. How big's yours?
47 feet.
Yeah, that's a good size catamaran. And
Yeah, it's a good
with
size. Yeah,
how many bedrooms?
4.
Four. So two on each side, or um,
Uh, yeah. So 2 hulls. So yeah, exactly 2 bedrooms in each hull. Yeah,
and the kitchen is on one
in one
side,
hull. Yeah.
and the other side is more of a leisure space or a
Yeah, you've got the 2 hulls, and then there's a salon, which is on the bridge deck between the 2 hulls, and then there's in one hull there's the 2 bedrooms and the kitchen, and the other hull there's like a shower and a big bathroom, and the bedrooms, and there's another 2 bathrooms on the boat as well, or heads as they call them in sailing
yes, yeah,
terminology.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I've got on my YouTube channel. There's a walkthrough of the boat of my boat, of the full boat, but yeah, video
Great.
walkthrough of the whole
Maybe I
thing. Yeah.
could post your YouTube channel on this later so people can visit and
Sure.
some of the videos you have there. You know, it
Yeah.
it's been quite a journey that you've been on.
Yeah. Yeah. It's been an epic adventure.
Yeah. So now you're in Bali, and there's so many uh, internet nomads
Yep.
living there, and you've gotten hooked up with some of these guys, haven't you?
Yeah. A little bit. Yeah. I mean, it's coming from I started this channel, my YouTube channel. Primarily, I started it to just document what we were doing. It
Yeah.
was like, I wanted to be able to have something to look back on and be like, oh, wow, like that was cool. Cause I find, if you don't document it, you forget it. At least I
Yeah.
do forget
Yeah.
it. Also, my Mia was little and I wanted to document that. So that's kind of how I started it. And now it's turned in for me into something that's kind of bigger than the YouTube channel. The YouTube channel is just like, was for fun to start. But for me, it's about like, and the YouTube channel turned into like sharing with people kind of like behind the scenes what sailing is like,
Yes.
and trying to, and I had a bunch of people asking me, how do I go and do this? How do I start sailing? How do I, basically how do I start my own sailing adventure? And so I wanted to start sharing kind of the real life of what it's about, because I find that there's kind of 2 sides to things out there. There's some people that tend to over dramatize what sailing's about. It's like they run into a little bit of rough weather and it's like, oh my God, like the boat's sinking, and then on the other side, it can be over glamorized, where it's just constantly girls in bikinis on the beaches and nice margaritas that they're sipping, and the reality of sailing is it's very much just like living your normal life. Like I'm on the boat with my family. I've got, problems with my kids. Like everybody has problems with their kids. I've got problems with my spouse. I've got problems with the boat, just like you have problems with your house. And it's a lot like normal life, just lived in a different way. So yeah, so what what the YouTube channel has kind of turned into for me is I'm creating basically a masterclass on sharing everything people need to know, what it's like behind the scenes to buy a boat and start sailing the world.
Wow. Good for you. So you're actually going to create a course or something?
Yeah.
Like okay,
Yeah.
so it's not
It'll
just
be a 12-week course.
a 12-week course, and is some of it you're going to create the whole 12 weeks, and then or will it be?
It'll be delivered live.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, so that's the idea is like, the reason I came to this is I looked back at like me starting, I shared the story about I bought a boat and had no sailing experience and sailed 6 days across the Pacific to New Zealand. And you can do that. The cost of that is I broke a lot of shit that cost me a lot of money and cost me a lot of time.
Yes.
And time that I probably would have, or I would have, to be honest, preferred to be, spending sailing and adventuring.
Yes.
And so I looked back and I was like, what would have I wanted at that time in order to mitigate some of those risks and some of those costs. And that's essentially what I've tried to create. And of the biggest value to me would have been somebody live that I could be like asking questions to,
Yeah.
in a format where there's still a structured format of things that you need to know. But there's somebody there that you can be like, hey, this is my specific question and my specific circumstance, and I want to get it answered.
Nice.
So, yeah.
So if you can answer that, you know the resources that can.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I can point somebody in the right direction. And yeah, I mean, I don't know absolutely. Of course, I don't know absolutely everything about sailing. We're all still learning all the time. Like, it's one of the greatest things about sailing is you're just constantly learning. But I have learned a lot in 4.5 years, and
It sounds like my subject, which is, my videos are often on recovery, and
yep,
it's never, there's no end. There's,
yep.
there's just the peeling the layers and peeling the layers, after 40 years of active recovery, I mean, I don't know how else to call it, I've figured out either I'm a really slow learner or the well's very deep.
Well, it's very deep, man. It's
Well,
very, it's very similar. Like, and I don't know if I've shared this with you before, but for me, like I've told people before, they're like, oh, do you regret going sailing or something like that? And I've told people, I'm like, it's the second best decision that I made in my life was to buy a boat and go sailing. And of course, then people are like, well, what was the first best decision you made? And for me, that it's stopping drinking. That was 100% absolutely the best decision I made. And it, and that answer almost oversimplifies what like stopping drinking like means. It's not just like it's what all that means is the best decision. It was the decision to like stop distracting myself with outside things in my life and get clear on who I am and what I want and my truth, and start going after that, and start connecting,
isn't it
basically.
funny? Because I mean, a lot of the world that I knew you in, going after it was going after success financially, was going after the next deal, was going after, that was your conditioning at the time, and you were getting your high from hitting those balls out of the park, So taking 4 or 5 years on a sailboat isn't about achieving in a way. Of course it is, because every day is, you have to reward yourself every day because you are achieving every day, and see it as that. But a big difference from, making the next big deal.
Huge. I mean, huge difference. It was the way that I kind of look at it. It was like, it's like taking a whole lot of space for me,
Yeah.
like it was like, and yeah, I mean, it's, and I believe that, like it was, you're right. I was in this space when I knew you before, where I was constantly chasing something,
Yeah.
constantly. And I was good at it.
Yeah. Really good.
And that was in a lot of ways a big problem for me, because I
Yeah.
was so good at it. When it came time for me to finally like listen to the music, and be like, look, what's playing for me right now is that I'm actually not happy doing this.
Yeah.
Because I was so good at it, in some ways it was harder, I think, for me to acknowledge that that's not the direction I wanted to go in, because it
Yes.
was like, but I'm good at it. Like it was, yeah, but what's it costing you? Like,
Well, lots.
yeah,
You know,
tons.
you're on a great trajectory towards, starting a family, getting a divorce, starting businesses, losing them. I mean, you could have had all that, and
Yeah, yeah,
and good
yeah,
for you. I mean, right? And isn't it
yeah,
funny? I just had my 40 years came up, and people say, "Wow, good for you." And I recognize, because I'm involved in a spiritually based program, that for me to take credit, I isn't the deal. To recognize that there's, I've tapped into the oneness of the universe, the undescribable isnness, the consciousness, the you know the you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And I just can't say, yeah, man, did I ever do good? I think I couldn't manage my way out of a, you know, a barn with open doors on both sides. It was like, uh, and so once I surrendered, and what's interesting of all these years is surrender just keeps getting deeper. That's what the depth is. It's like, oh, you know, because I didn't really surrender. When I look at it in the beginning, I surrendered to the level I could, and
Mhm.
then and I've kept doing it. And this last thing that happened for me, you know, with the business here in Calgary, and I recognized that, you know, how I was still hanging on to that, you know,
Mm.
that,
Mm.
that I hadn't really surrendered, and now it feels so great to finally have heard the call to, you know, carry a message, to be a real servant in that field, you know, and
Mm.
I'm sure that that's the undercurrent of your life as well. And
To be of service. I mean, that's the to yeah, to help, to be of service is the it's what fills me up, you know. I mean,
yeah,
it's that was the perspective shift for me, a big perspective shift for me in you know, in the journey of recovery, but also in the journey of my sailing journey. You know, it's like um the places that we've been on the boat and the people we've met, and you know, I've been to places that they have nothing. You know, they, like, literally in a material sense, they have nothing. Like
yes,
they live a subsistence agricultural existence. And like there's an island we went to, they have no cell phones, like there's no cell towers, so there's no cell phones. There's no,
yes,
not even a radio to radio outside. Their only contact with the outside world is through a ship that comes every 6 months, or boats like ours that show up. And there's 3 to 5 boats like ours that show up a year to this place. And these people are, you know, they were among some of the happiest people I've ever met in my life.
oh,
You know, like just in the sense of, and I mean, it sounds a bit like, kind of like, ooh, wah, 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 they're happy people, you know, but they genuinely were. You know, like you would go and have a conversation with these people, and they were happy, and it's because I thought about it for a long time. I'm like, well, what is it? And it's because they have each other. You know, they have the tribe, they have the community, they have the support system, and they have this connection with each other. And you know, they don't have the material stuff, so their life isn't. Yes, they're happy, but their life, there is also challenges that they have in their lives,
of course, yeah,
but they've got different things, than they value different things than what we value in the Western world, right? They put an immense amount of value on things like the tribe, the family, togetherness, um, and way less value on the material things. And you know, they're happy as a result,
that's
regardless of their
awesome.
material
Would
situation.
that be, was that an Indonesian island?
No, that was an island in the Solomon Islands, an island called Utapua in the Solomon Islands. And yeah, I mean, the guy that was the leader of that island, you know, he was all about. I did an interview with him, actually. I have a video interview with him, and because I wanted to understand his philosophy and what he was doing, and he was, and because this island was, you know, they were growing, like they were becoming, they were stepping into the world and learning and stuff, and some of the people, they'd supported various different people from the village to go and get an education, and then those people would come back and teach, and they were growing. And so I was curious what this guy's philosophy was, and um, his philosophy was all about, you know, what can our community give to the world.
Wow.
That was what it was. It wasn't like, hey, you know, what can we get? How can we grow? Like, it was like, you know, what can we give of value to the people that come to our island? And I just thought that was so cool. You know, I was like, that's like, yeah, I thought it was so cool.
No. Do you know, I have a little story about that. You know, I've been in Bali many, many times, 20 sometimes. And remember one time, a young lady that I knew was doing offerings. You know how they're doing offerings, and they light the incense and they pray, and it was outside of a restaurant up in Ubud, and I knew her, and I didn't realize, um, what they were praying for. I asked her that day, I said, so when you light the incense and you stop to pray, what are you praying for? Are you praying for, a successful day? Are you praying for health? Are you praying for, oh, she said, no, no, I'm praying for you.
Hmm.
Not me personally, but uh, for the betterment of humanity. It was not a prayer uh, to get; it was a prayer to give. And
Yeah.
the Balinese cultures uh, is beautiful and has survived, and
Hmm.
probably this year will even be stronger as a
Yeah.
result. And
Yeah.
um, on all the years I went there and the friends that I had that are Balinese, we never really were. Um, their culture was separate. They kept it. They did for Westerners. Even if you marry there and you live there and you married a Balinese girl, you're always from away. It's a it's a bit exclusive, and although their love for everyone is clear. Um, yeah, I've very often touched by the Balinese and their caring. Um, I expect that thousands and thousands of the people who were working on that island were from other islands. They're from Java. They're from, and
In
like,
Bali.
yes,
Yeah.
because they came to Bali to work, to do construction, to build things that were being sold, and
Yeah.
working in the restaurants and that kind of stuff. Now, a lot of those people would have gone home, back to Sulawesi, to Java. Thousands of them were Japanese people.
Those that can. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. Those that could have gone home, and
Yeah.
so not only is the Western tourist population and tourists from Asia, tourists from India, tourists from all over the globe not coming, but I'll bet you that the domestic folks have gone home. So the population's probably dropped a lot.
Yeah, it was reasonably busy over Christmas. There was a lot of people from other islands that came here for Christmas, but
Yes.
after that, like now, it's there's not a lot of people, and there's definitely been a knock-on effect in that that like the tourist businesses are suffering, but
Hmm.
then the other businesses now we're seeing a real impact in like even the non-tourist businesses, because the people that work in the tourist businesses don't have any money to go and spend money in the non-tourist businesses,
Yes.
and so yeah,
It's
it's really tough. Yeah. Yeah.
It was after the bombing, the Bali bombs it was like that. They
Yeah.
went through a year at least like that, and at least they know that people are going to come back. This is
Yeah.
the Banjars. Each little village has what's called a Banjar, and the
Yeah.
Banjars will hopefully be looking after, because they
They
have.
they are. Yeah,
Yeah,
they are. They are the people that are. I mean, it's things like for example, we have a neighbor here, and his kids were, um, his kids were in school. One of his kids had 1 year of university left, and he's like, I got no money to pay the university thing because I got no job now. So, um, it's little things like that. Like people are surviving, but
yeah.
anything extra is not happening.
Yeah.
Um,
So
so yeah, no, it's tough.
yeah, it'll come back. It'll come back this year, in the
I
fall.
don't, I don't, I don't think so. To be honest, I really don't think so. I think I was, I was hanging out with. Just to actually backtrack what you said about that whole praying thing and them doing their ceremonies and their offerings. So I have a friend who's Balinese, and he's been on the boat a few times here, and we took some other local expat friends out the other day, and he came because he helps and does some cooking and whatever, and he before he came and he did a whole bunch of offerings all over the boat.
Yeah.
And it was like, he comes in, he's like, Chris, he's like, okay, now the boat is like God is on the boat is protected,
Yeah.
and that's just to help me.
Well,
That's why, like,
well, it
and
would
and I
be
guess he's coming, so he wants it to be safe too. But
well,
but
sure. It'd
really,
be
it's
very
it's
foreign
it's
for him to, I mean, I've prayed with the Balinese lots, and it would be very foreign for them not to
yeah,
to not be blessing your boat and
yeah,
preparing it
that's
for.
cool. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. And I do the offerings every day at our place here. We've got got the temple, and or not the temple. It's like there's no temple in the house. The temple is different. There's like it's like a guard that they have, but it's like a statue, and you do an offering to it every day, and it
Sure, I
keeps
know
the
where
house safe.
it's actually, if it's a Balinese built house, it's exactly everything is where it should be,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
where the little altar is or the temple that you have in the backyard, probably in the right-hand side or the left-hand side of the yard, is it?
This one's actually in the carport, right at
Wow.
the gate to where the house is. There's a little
Okay.
little thing there,
So
and yeah.
everything's, everything has meaning.
Yeah.
Where where the kitchen is, where everything has meaning. So I have a home group in Ubud.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll send you their links. They're online.
Yeah.
On a regular basis, and there's a lot of history of how the 12-step world got started there. For a long time, there could be no NA because Indonesians said that it wasn't possible. That they don't have any. There can be no addiction because there's no drugs, right?
Yep.
But so have you met other people?
Oh yeah. Lots of people. There's a Zoom meeting every day at 9 a.m. and 7 p.m. But just an online meeting that's based out of Bali.
Yes.
That I'm a part of that, and I've got a lot of friends that are part of that too on the island. And yeah, I met a guy, actually, a local guy who was they put him in jail because he had a heroin addiction. So they threw him in jail, and then he was in jail for 8 years or something like that. Some unreal story, and came out, and there was, at that time, as if you're local, like, there's no treatment centers or facilities or anything. It's you're on your own, and he did it on his own. Going to the Ruco here, just for today building. So
I know exactly where it is.
yeah.
The Ruco.
Yeah.
I remember trying to find it in the early days. It was so hard to find. Like, and I was there in the 90s, it wasn't there at all. But in the early 2000s, it was still very hard to find. But things have changed a lot. So I think it's great you're there. You're going to be there. It sounds like for a while.
Yeah, that's the plan. We got this. We moved off the boat. Still have the boat, but moved off the boat for now. We're living on the Bukit here in a nice little traditional jogolo.
Yeah.
And the plan is to be here for at least, when we came, we said at least a year, but it's looking like 2 years now. We'll see.
Nice. Well, if
one day at a time,
going, I want to support your business. So that's when we have a link for your course or do some introductions. And
the best way to stay in the loop on that is just to follow me on social media, because I'm doing a lot of posting about it, and what I'm doing now on social media. The course will come out. My target is the end of April is the launch date for it.
Okay.
So we're still a couple months away.
I'll pump the heck out of it, and maybe we can do another short one of these then.
Yeah, sure, man. I'd love to. Yeah, it was.
My audience is growing, and on YouTube, and I'm gonna probably run because dinner's ready. And but what I'll do is you have a YouTube channel.
Yep.
And I'll send you. I'm just gonna clean this up and download it to my YouTube. And I'll send you the link. Maybe you can put it up on your Facebook and stuff like that if you'd like. Yeah. And thanks for taking time to share with me. It's good to see you, and I'm a little pissed that you're in Bali and I'm not. And not really.
Love to see you here, man.
Well, I'll be back. It's been a while, but once Bali gets in your blood, it's hard to,
it's a beautiful place.
Yes, it certainly is, and you're there at a very special time. So, thanks, Chris. Anything else you'd like to say before I go?
No, man. It's nice to connect with you. Thanks for setting this up. It's always good to catch up with you. Enjoy it. And yeah, man, I'm excited to see you continue to create.
Yeah, in it big. I'm going to send you some. I want to tell you, I discovered this guy. He's a neuroscientist. His name's Andrew Huberman, and I'll send you his link. Some of his videos are just off the charts. You'll love his stuff. He's
Okay.
got a lab at Stanford, so he's the bomb. He really is, and all about the mind and how and all in the area of recovery too. Like a couple of different people that have interviewed him are people who are 12-step people who have big
Okay.
podcasts, and
Okay.
so it's very, very cool. You'll love it. I've been binging on him for a week, and
Amazing.
yeah, he's pretty cool. So I'll send you that. Love you. Take care.
Love you too, buddy. All right. We'll talk to you soon, man.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.